Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our midweek Montessori live stream. We're happy to have you with us again today. If you've missed any of our previous live streams, you can go ahead and head on over to our YouTube channel and check those out there, or you can just scroll down on our Facebook channel or LinkedIn and check out the live streams that we've done there as well. So today, I'm so happy to have with us Dr. Erica McDowell from Black Wildflowers Fund. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. I'm so happy to be here.
We're very happy to have you, and we are excited to hear all you have to tell us today about all kinds of things, right? We've got a lot of things to talk about. We've been chatting before we even went live, too. So lots of good discussions to be had today. If y'all want to join in on our discussions, you can, of course, comment, ask questions in the various chats on whatever network you're watching on. We'll keep an eye on those and we'll try to answer those as they come in. And if you're watching a recording, feel free to comment and ask questions there too. I'll check on it and I'll forward it to Dr. Erica if we have questions directed to her. So feel free to contribute. This is a community conversation for sure. So before we get totally into it, Dr. Erica, will you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to this role as co-CEO of Black Wildflowers Fund? Like, what brought you here?
Well, Carolyn, once again, thank you for the opportunity because this is a part of the journey, right? The journey started out in Paterson, New Jersey. That's where I'm born and raised. And I went to Performing Arts High School. Drama major, vocal minor, Rosa Parks School of Fine and Performing Arts. And I always had this desire to like perform and, share. But then I got my first job as a summer camp counselor leading drama at 16. And something happened that was magical I wanted to be a part of education, a part of learners, to the point where I was looking for places where I could get a theater degree and an education degree. So that's where I started out, went to Howard University, shout out to Howard, got my Bachelor of Fine Arts there in theater education, and then went on to NYU, Steinhardt Stand Up. I have a master's degree in educational theater with an emphasis in colleges and communities. So that's where my work really starts to shift itself. I did study abroad in London and Ireland and also did some justice work while I was here. And then I got my first job teaching in the same district that my dad had just retired from. And I realized that I was prepared for this work, but I didn't have the tools that I needed to be the best person I can. And then I walked in with a huge amount of debt. My first year teaching, I owed a lot of money. And so during that time, I know we're all feeling like the wave of, we need teachers. We're having a lot of backfills. When I started teaching, they had laid off over 800 of us because they didn't have enough money, right? And so then I started traveling around. I started my LLC was a dream. So I was going to consulting, doing work, ended up in Philadelphia. I was an assistant principal, then worked for the School of Philadelphia, PBIS coach, director of PBIS and youth court, and ended my tenure there as executive director of professional development. And so this is where it changes to CEO. I was talking to a dear friend of mine who was opening up a wildflower school in my home state of New Jersey. Just got my superintendent cert. Shout out to Drexel, had just successfully defended, ready, 2020. Literally, like the world shut down, and I successfully defended my dissertation. And I had to make a decision about how was I going to affect lives. And I had a conversation with a whole bunch of people at Wildflower, including my co-CEO, Maya Blankenship, at the time. And something said, just take a chance. And I got hired to lead efforts in the state of New Jersey. And then I also became an equity steward, which I still am now. And so while I was doing the work in New Jersey and across the continental United States, I started seeing some things that there are folks who want to open up schools in their local community, but what certain people need in different communities is staggering, particularly folks who identify as Black, right? And so less than 5% of Montessori teachers are Black. I think that's a problem, right? And then we started working with folks in our organization, and it just started like, well, how can we do this? How can we do this? And I'm telling you, last year, actually, it's our 1 year anniversary. We looked at each other as a meeting with folks who identified, and it was like, we have to do something. And I was going around different conferences, like, people who are like, this is a problem. This is a problem. I literally had my opening. And so I believe Maia and I looked at each other and was like, we're going to do this. And so we went on a dream. We said, we're going to raise $10 million. We're going to give it directly to people. So we give a credential grant and we pay those centers directly, right? We also have a school startup grant, right? So think about it. If I'm getting everything I need, what's wrong with a little more? And one thing that Black Wildflowers really, really centers is living in abundance. So many people, white people, Black people, right, who are in education live in poverty. That's a problem. And so how do we dismantle that system? So our school startup grants, and then we have an Ignite grant, right? That one-time thing that you had an idea about, but you don't have the money to really support it. We want to honor you there. And then we come together as a community. In February, we just left DC and Vital Voices. And someone said, you had an unconference. And I said, unconference? We had massages. We ate good food. We had sound baths, right? We went to a school, right? And so my role to co-CEO has always been, what access do folks need to do the work they've been called to do? And I will say selfishly, I did not want people to go through what I've went through to be an educator. How can we stop that, dismantle that, and give folks what they need to be successful? That's the journey, and I'm still on it. So I appreciate the journey, but I'm more appreciative of the educators and the leaders that I get to be in community with, so they can manifest these schools that we know we need.
Absolutely. And I love that it came out of Wildflower Schools, and that you saw this problem and you orchestrated to solve it, and that you came together to find a solution, and that you've done such amazing work. So it's been 1 year. Like, what are some of the biggest, like, I know, like, as a leader, there's always moments, and especially in nonprofit leadership, where things are difficult. It's just a hard journey sometimes, a hard road. But there are also those wins where you just feel like you've made an impact, you've made a huge difference. So, like, do you have any good stories from this first year that you want to share with us about the difference that Black Wildflowers has made so far?
Yes, and I am going to be a little vulnerable at this point. Black Wildflowers has shown me the power of community, not only to myself, but others. It's public knowledge that I got really sick last year, right around when we opened. And I just want to shout out our co-CEO, Maia, our chief program officer, Simone. I couldn't go anywhere. I was hospitalized for a period of time. I was, right? And to see how not only this team, you are not alone, and what do you need right now to be successful? And so during that time, I was just able to talk to different teachers. I wasn't able to work at the capacity I've been in, right? But then as I started to heal, I think one of the biggest moments was we were at the exchange, and I had to do a session. I had one of the bigger sessions, right? And I had to share my story. And if you were in that room, we were laughing, we were crying, to have that moment to just show up authentically and say, what you need is right here. And if it's not right here, we're going to get it. So that moment is powerful for me, because there was a moment in my life where I was like, I don't know. If I have one more doctor's call, if I get one more letter saying I owe this, right? And then to get in Vital Voices in DC and talk about community and talk about belonging, and also be in areas where I'm hearing different teachers saying, like, wow, if I were in this community years ago, I probably wouldn't have went through X. That is my win, that we are able to connect people and have exchanges. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, Carolyn, like, work can be isolating at sometimes, especially when you don't have a quick reward, right? And so I think that powerful moment was showing me how much community is, and how much that Black Wildflowers has to center itself on building community amongst folks, because we never know what folks are going through, right? We never know. People have to bring their whole selves to this work. And so I'm really excited that folks felt like they could bring their whole selves to the exchange and have a moment and have that support that I had felt a year ago. And I'm telling you, I felt like I was birthing something, and I continue to feed it. I continue to talk to the thing that I birthed. So that's my win, that people feel that they have a place. Because there was a moment I didn't have a place, and Black Wildflowers and the folks connected gave it to me. And so I'm thankful.
That's amazing. Then what a gift to you too. Like a gift from what you've put out into the universe is like given back to you. So
Right?
well deserved, right? That support. And I think that's true. I mean, in education and in life, I think the idea of like a community of support is sometimes overlooked, and we don't get what we need a lot. And so I love the model. And I told Maya this when we talked with her too, but the model that you've set up really supports people from the inception, right? From training through the establishment of a school, and even with the Ignite grant, with opportunities to use their vision for good and to come up with an idea, and you support that, and like you're with them all along the way. And I think that is such a great system. So well done.
Thank you. And my heart is full. I think that the more that I think about if you look at a tagline that I have, it says like educator, disruptor, trainer, or right, something like that. And I'm just happy to be a part of something that can disrupt this idea that your dream can't come true. I'd like to be a part of this idea to disrupt the notion that you don't have what you need to open up a school. I think that I'm a career educator. My dad's a retired teacher. My mom teaches everything, including community folks. My mom's a retired letter carrier. And so my grandpa had a barbershop, and it was in the community. And he said something about how we all need to be connected. And I think that part of us being well is being connected. And so it shouldn't just be about this thing, or no, like I want you to be well. And I feel like Black Wildflowers has given, I know, me and others the opportunity to be well and birth. I birth it, right? And because I think sometimes society can tell us this is what's going to go wrong. I don't know if you should do this. No, we want to dream with you. And so I'm just happy because the dream has just grown inside of me, and it's because of my educators and teachers. I love y'all. Love you. Love you.
I hope they're all watching and got to see that. And your love is very clear. Like it's just like there, eminent. So that's fantastic as a leader and as, a support system. So
thank you.
Yeah. So the other thing I kind of want to talk with you about, because I don't know much about this, but micro schooling. And so Wildflower schools, like that's kind of what this grew out of. But what tell us a little bit about the idea of community micro schools and how they work and why they're beneficial, especially for people of color and in different communities.
Okay, so Carolyn, I'm going to jump on my professor hat. Unfortunately, like I got sick last year, so shout out to my former employer, UB, and all my students. Keep working. I'm going to feel better. Education is a mirror of its larger society. So my dissertation, I started doing research 2018, 2019, 2020 around like education was really designed off the industrial complex. Now think about it, right? So it's like, do this, do that, do that. But we don't live in that world anymore. We're not, right? And so how do we reimagine and rethink how schooling is? And so when we talk about micro schools, we're talking about little home communities, right? Where it's 1 or 2 rooms, a couple of staff members, where it's not so large, where people can't be seen and centered. And then I think number 2, when we talk about micro schooling, you're able to look at the community and what we need to be successful, and not just live as, oh, that's the school on the corner. No, that institution on the corner not only serves our students, serves our parents, it's bringing socioeconomics into our community, right? And so when we think about micro school, I think about it as lighting a fire of, I'm starting here. right? And doing a good job at the thing I have here. Because I think when we don't do that, we start to go back to things in the past of, all right, let's put as many kids as we can in this room and we're going to run people through. And that's what I also love about Montessori pedagogy and following the child. Some of our school entities cannot be micro because of the pedagogical stances we take, right? So it's very hard to have a huge number of students in an authentic Montessori classroom if you're following how many children you're going to follow, right? And so I want people to really think about micro schooling as this idea of implementation, community embedded, and also figuring out how do we serve the needs of the folks we're connected to. And I think micro schooling, because on its small scale, can do that. And I think it also inspires other people to dream. I love when I go to Massachusetts, there's this street and I run into 3 or 4 wildflower schools. Literally walk, 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 boop, walk, 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 boop. Different age ranges, right? And so I think we also have to dismantle what we were taught. Right? And so I think micro schooling also gives power back into that teacher leader hand of what do students need? What do I think is best? And to also adapt practice. You ready, Carolyn? Sometimes we're doing things that do not work. I think micro schooling is a great place to go. This did not work. And how do we switch it quickly where I don't have to change a major schedule? I don't have to, right? And so I think it's an opportunity for micro schools not only to be highlighted and grow, but I think micro means community, right? Micro schooling means community school. My elementary school name was Patterson Community School, and it was Unity. And it wasn't because and I remember our late founder, Frederick H. Lagarde, and I just remember us getting together as community every day. We sang, we talked, but I remember all throughout 3 years old, all the way to 8th grade, those slight adjustments they made of this is not right. I have a sibling who was behind me making those adjustments. I think about micro schooling and giving folks what they need to be successful. I stuttered in the 3rd grade. Hard, and it came out of nowhere. And my mom's on the line, she'll know. And to be at a school that was just so community based, where they were able to build a trailer and I had support quickly. And so how do we replicate that, but also just center our beloved and our communities? And so we can all live in these communities that are thriving. And I tell people all the time, I'm ready to birth a baby so I can send them to a micro school and I can send them to a school where they're centered and learn. So let's do that. Let's keep talking. Let's figure out how we take that micro, meaning how do we incubate this thing so everybody gets what they need?
I think that's fantastic. And just from, working in education for, I guess, over 2 decades now and being married to a teacher and seeing him work in other public schools and private schools and Montessori schools, being able to pivot and being able to serve students is huge. And especially when you don't have to deal with the bureaucratic red tape of a district and what, their requirements are. That's the beauty of being able to adapt. And that really, truly allows you to follow the child and to follow the teacher, because teachers' well-being and spiritual preparation and is really important too. So
Carolyn, let me tell you something. I tell people all the time, sometimes we talk about students and we forget about the teacher and leader. And I tell people all the time, you are the greatest tool in your toolbox. We would not be and how do you leverage that tool? And I give an example constantly of, I fly all the time. When you get on the plane, who do they say put the air on first? Yourself. And so we have a lot of leaders and teachers who are like, I'm giving, I'm doing. And if I don't get the air and the resources I need to be the best tool, it's going to show up. And I think micro schools and community has a very loving way of, and again, I'll use myself, when I was able to be in an environment where nobody had to ask me if I was okay, I was able to say I am not okay.
Right.
And I want that experience for every educator and leader who can hear my voice, working somewhere, being with people where, yes, I can flourish, I can shine. But when I am not good or when I need a refill, there are people in community who are creating this environment. And I think we have to be strategic on the environments we create for people to teach, right? And so they can get what they need and also have work-life balance. People get mad at me and I'm like, take your PTO. Something happened to you, it's gonna be gone, right? Like, live. And so, because we need to show our students what rest looks like. What, right? They don't need to see this grind of one of the reasons that I'm an educator, because I loved how teachers showed up. Loved how teachers, half of my teachers are still my Facebook friend. I kid you not. Go look. They're all there from kindergarten all the way up to college, right? And part of it was that I saw the joy. And so I also encourage educators to find your joy again. And I know life has happened and the world is whirling, but I want you to find your joy and your peace again, because there are students and communities that just need to see you. It'll come. The way to do something will come, but I want you to be okay. And so I think that's, for me, I want people to know that they're the greatest tool in their toolbox. And I want other people who are in situational power to remind folks that we need them. I think it's a very nice thing to do, to say, like, we need you. You're valued.
And it's okay to not be okay once in a while, and to admit that is acceptable, and that we'll support you in whatever situation you're in, right? Like,
and that's how people talk about like teacher retention, and because my thing is, yes, I want the numbers to grow in Montessori pedagogy. I want the numbers to grow. And as we talk about schooling, but I also don't want to recruit people to a harmful environment where they're going to feel worse.
right.
So part of my work is also, what are we walking into and what is this environment giving folks so they feel like they want to be here? Instead of what we are kind of doing sometimes now is like, well, we can't keep anybody. And I tell people all the time, say it in a different way. Well, we can't keep anybody. That is a different question to answer, right? That is a different question to move on. And so I just want folks to stay encouraged. Again, I come from the season where I couldn't find a job to save my life, but now we're living in abundance. So how can we change this environment so when we get those people who love children, who want to open schools, how do we create the right circumstances for them to thrive? And that's why I'm on the line with you, because I love what you all are doing. Because how do we do this, and how do we take a multi-pronged approach to get people what they need?
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we're trying to do too. We're trying to make it accessible and affordable for people to get Montessori training all over the world. And I know you're also trying to do that, so we should talk about that. So you have a Montessori credential grant offered through Black Wildflowers Fund, and that is so exciting. And the deadline is coming up. So why don't you tell us about how people can access that, how they can apply, what that gives them when they do apply?
And thank you for dropping the link. Ready, everybody? Put in the chat if you on here. April 7th. April 7th. Feel free to I can't hear you. Just say April 7th. April 7th. April 7th is the deadline. So let me tell you about this grant season. We would like to give folks who identify as Black the opportunity to go to training without incurring extra debt. You should be able to say, I want a Montessori credential. Great, we should pay for it. Right. And so I want you to know you're not swimming for one or two things, right? We are really trying to make a multi-pronged approach. We gave out 17 last year.
That's amazing.
So I need you to run to the website. If you're sitting here saying like, oh my gosh, I always wanted a credential, but I didn't have the access, this is your moment. If you're sitting here saying, I have a friend who said something to me, forward them the email. Ready? Dr. E, love you. And everybody knows I have bad boundaries. I'm doing better, but reach out to me if you want to talk a little bit more, because I think what the grant does very well. And I'll say this really quick. During our gathering, I had the opportunity to meet with all the grantees that we gave out funds to this year. And we were able to do a wall. And I wish you could see the wall of where all of these folks are going. And how they are dismantling systems that say, you don't see people like me, or we have from high school all the way to infant toddler, right? And so if you're interested in a credential, MACD accredited. So that's your first step. Let me find a MACD accredited school, right? Go and apply, and then apply for the grant before April 7th, right? We also have information sessions coming. So go on our website, blackwildflowers.org, right? You can come for an information session. We also have office hours. And again, you can always talk to me, but I want you all to be able to access this. And I think sometimes, Carolyn, and I'll end here, it's not enough for us to do a thing if no one can access it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my hope for everybody listening to me is that this grant, this credential grant, is an opportunity for you to access something so you can keep dreaming, keep moving. And I think when we talk about schooling and people opening up schools, this is the first step. This is the first step. And I want you to dream a little before you think. That's Toni Morrison, not me. Dream a little before you think. Look for that training center. Apply by April 7th, because we need you. We need you. And know that Dr. E is ready to make sure you get what you need. And so that's the grant. That's our love work. I'm so excited. And I just want people to win. I want you all to win. Just remember that. I want you all to win.
Well, I feel like that's a perfect thing to end on. And we are going to post on our social media pages some more information about your upcoming information sessions and the grant. And just encourage everyone to apply. I mean, a lot of times finances are what stands in the way. I mean, that's what we hear over and over again from folks, and we do the best we can to help them. But like this, there's nothing standing in your way here. Just apply for the grant. You can get Montessori certified. You can start a career, and you can make a huge difference in the lives of so many children and so many communities. So we'll post that stuff for you. But Dr. Erica, thank you. I love talking to you today.
I love you, Carolyn. Like, it's been a pleasure and a journey. Can I tell you, my heart, I tell people, heart raising. Thank you for being in community with me. And I love you. Like, this means the world to me. And I hope to anybody listening, I love you too. But thank you all so much for what you do and how you're impacting Montessori lives worldwide. And I love you.
Thank you so much. We love you too. And have a wonderful rest of the afternoon, everybody. And we'll be in touch, and we will share all this stuff too. So check out Black Wildflowers, please, and have a great day.